Let's bring in our panel right now. Former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, former GOP lawmaker Mike Murphy, along with UIndy political science professor Dr. Laura Wilson and Purdue political science professor Dr. Martin Sweet. Laura, I'll start with you here as we talk about the White House and some of the criticism they've faced for that train derailment in Ohio. It's been a big story for several weeks now, definitely one that's drawn a lot of reaction in the world of politics, but even more so this week here in Indiana, when we learned that some of the toxic waste was coming here to the Hoosier State.
And this was minimally a horrible miscommunication. I feel like if Jennifer were here, she'd say it was bad PR and not even have that kind of life experience. This is horrible PR. The governor says he found out from a third party. They had this open venue for 3 hours where a lot of people were complaining, but they'd already moved 3 truckloads of toxic waste. I think it brings into questions of accountability and making things transparent for people. I don't blame the governor or the government necessarily, but Heritage Environmental should have been really clear and upfront about what was going on, what was coming over, when it was coming over. And not having that, I think, makes people very uncomfortable and very rightfully angry.
There were some different things we were hearing about, maybe different states getting it, then some of it came here to Indiana instead. Senator Braun this week kind of insinuated maybe politics had something to do with that. Martin, what do you make of all this?
Well, I get why people are frustrated and they're upset. But remember, this toxic waste facility and this treatment facility in Indiana was here already.
And there's a lot of stuff there that we haven't heard about.
Right, and presumably it'll be here next year as well, right? And so to be upset about that this place treats this kind of material seems to me a little bit off. But what's clear is that people have a lack of trust and they don't really understand sort of how this process works. I think that's really the big issue for us.
Robin, what's your response to some of the criticism from Republicans over this issue, targeting either the EPA or Secretary Pete Buttigieg in many cases?
Well, it's not news at 11 that they would criticize the administration. We expect that. What they haven't talked about is all the years of deregulation on the railroads that caused this accident. I mean, we had a disaster in East Palestine, and now we are dealing with it over here in Indiana, but we forget corporate greed and the decisions made to deregulate on the railroads contributed to this. So the president and his administration will address this issue. Heritage did a terrible job not telling the public this was coming, and then having a public meeting after it was already there.
Mike, what's your view on this from across the aisle, and what do you make the governor's response to it?
Well, I think the governor is fine. He's right to try to protect the public, but we've seen this movie before. In the early 90s, Indiana sued New Jersey to stop hazardous waste from coming into the state, I think to the same plant. And this federal court of appeals said, hey guys, it may smell, it may look bad, but it's still interstate commerce and you cannot stop it.
Right, Laura, let's turn to the State House here. Governor Holcomb this year had called for free textbooks. There was a plan, it appeared, to get that in the budget, but now we've learned that may actually still be on the backs of local school districts to pay for those textbooks. Some lawmakers on the other side of the aisle calling it a bait and switch. It looks like this could end up being one of the big issues at play perhaps in the second half of the session.
I think it absolutely will be, because it's very different from what Holcomb unveiled. When he shared his budget and had the state of the state, he talked about being able to give this as a line item to the Indiana Department of Education. And of course nothing's free, right? So somebody has to pay for these, but if you're giving it to the Department of Education that's coming from a state position, the new proposal that would go through foundations is probably going to lead to a lot more inequities, because not every foundation can allow for that. And if they weren't anticipating it in the first place, and I think this is a real concern, what are they not going to be able to spend money on if they're paying for that? I would just add too, we're one of 7 states that still requires families to pay for textbooks. Both of these scenarios wouldn't have the families ultimately footing the bill. But textbooks are an essential part of education, and I think it's something that we really need to step up and make space for.
Robin, your thoughts on all this?
We have 1.1 million students in public schools in Indiana. About 34% are on free and reduced lunch. Some districts are as high as 70 or 80%. Parents can't afford those textbooks, and this ought to be something the state should be doing. Mike, when you were in the General Assembly, we had called for that 20 years ago to make textbooks free. So I think it should be done.
Mike, you served in the legislature, as Robin mentioned. How do you see them?
I can't remember how I voted. It was a long time ago. but I will tell you, if I were there now, I would be in favor of free textbooks for kids on free and reduced lunch, and against them for the kids from Carmel who can afford it.
And we'll see how this all shakes out. Essentially, lawmakers putting some money in the budget for local school districts to pay for these textbooks. Certainly education, funding for education, they've always been key items in the political talking points at the State House when you talk about the state budget.
Well, and it's absolutely, essential that parents are listened to, and we're trying to cater to parents in a number of different policy areas. I have to wonder, though, if by forcing these decisions on local school districts, if we might actually see some innovation, right? If school districts themselves are now responsible for these very localized decisions on textbooks, might they move to purely online? Might they move to a rental situation? Like, how much innovation could they have, which could then spread throughout the state?
Yeah, quickly here, we're also talking presidential politics this week. We saw the interview there with Greg Pence. We were also talking about former VP Mike Pence, who said in an interview this week he wouldn't commit to supporting former President Trump if he's the nominee, only saying again he thinks there'll be quote unquote better choices. What did you make of that news and his comments there?
It's not 2016 anymore, right?
Right.
This is a new year. I think he's smart to be open to that. It's going to be tricky for Pence, right, to distance himself too much from Donald Trump. He still has a base. But as he's looking at his options, and certainly other candidates are putting their names out there, I think you see a different political landscape than what we saw in 2016, and he's recognizing and also probably reacting to it.
All right, we'll see how all of that shakes out. Coming up next, we're talking about a major announcement from Indianapolis-based Eli Lilly having a national impact this week. We'll get reaction from the White House on that topic coming up next.